Welcome to Brighton Hove Progressive Synagogue. My name is Pamela and I'm a member of this synagogue. I'm Jewish. So I come here to pray, I come here to learn, and I come here to meet people because the synagogue is a place where we don't just pray, we meet other people, we socialise, we have classes for adults, for children, to learn Hebrew and to learn about being Jewish. Hebrew is our language, the language that we use. It's a very old language, and our Bible, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, is written in Hebrew. Now, you will see that in this room, which is our sanctuary, there are some pictures up on the wall of the parting of the Red Sea, which is a story in the Bible. And the other picture is the burning bush. And those you can see have Hebrew writing on them. So those are two things that tell you that this is a synagogue. Also, all synagogues have three things that you will always see, whatever the design of the synagogue is. And they are the everlasting light, which we have up there, which is on all the time, reminds us of the candelabra in the temple that was on all the time, that we're told about in the Bible. And we have the ark, which is this special cupboard here. And most synagogues will also have a platform. Now, I don't know if you can see, but there's no platform here. And that's because when we built this synagogue a few years ago, we wanted to make sure that everybody could be included in whatever we do. So it means that people who can't walk well or or in a wheelchair can actually come up to the ark. So we're slightly different in that we don't have the platform. But every other synagogue you go into will have those three things: the everlasting light, an ark, and the platform. I'm going to say a bit more about the ark in a minute. First of all, though, I want to show you, I mentioned Hebrew. This is our prayer book. And you'll see it opens the other way to a normal book because Hebrew is written from right to left. So in here you can see Hebrew down one side and English down the other. And the same in our Bible. And this is our Bible. And here again you can see, if I open it up, Hebrew, I can get the right page. Hebrew down one side and English on the other. So now I mentioned the Bible. For Jews, the Bible is different to the Christian Bible. The Christian Bible consists of the Old Testament and the New Testament. The New Testament is all about Jesus. But Jews don't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. They don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. So we don't have the New Testament. We just have what Christians call the Old Testament. We call it the Hebrew Bible because it was written in Hebrew. And the most important part of that Hebrew Bible are the first 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And those 5 books are the ones that we call the Torah. And you can see on the front here it says the Torah. The Torah to us is very important. It contains all our stories. It contains all our laws and commandments. Now, if I asked you how many commandments, I bet you'd say 10. But actually, there are 613 commandments in the Torah. That's an awful lot. A lot of those are things to do with how we behave. So one of the most important commandments is you should love other people and do to other people as you would like them to do to you. So, and some people might say, well, that's something Jesus said. And I say, yes, because Jesus was Jewish and he was preaching about Jewish things. He knew the Jewish law. So for me, that's one of the most important commandments. But there's other things about what we're allowed to eat. So we aren't allowed to eat pork and we aren't allowed to eat shellfish. So those are more commandments that are in the Torah. So it's very important for us, the Torah. It also has all our stories about Noah, about Abraham and Sarah, about Moses. And those stories are all part of our heritage. Now, those stories, the Torah is written down in a very special way. It's written on a scroll in Hebrew, and that scroll is kept in the ark, which I said I'd come to. Now, if I open the ark, you will see our scrolls. And we actually have 4 here, but I've already taken one out to show you. And you can see they're beautifully covered. They have silver on them, and they have bells. And that's because thousands of years ago, there was a temple in Jerusalem. And in that temple, there was a priest. Now, we don't have priests anymore, we have rabbis, because the temple was destroyed. And once the temple was destroyed, the Jews had to find another way of praying. So we had synagogues and rabbis instead of temples and priests. And but this reminds us of the priest, because the priest wore a gown with bells on it, so you could hear him coming. And this we know because it's written in the Torah. And the gown was beautifully embroidered and decorated, and that's what we have. And the priest also wore a breastplate, and you can see the scrolls have a breastplate. So they're really special. Now I'm going to show you one that I've got here. And this scroll, I'm going to do it very carefully because it's, let's go this way. There we go. Now, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to come a bit nearer so you can see. I'm using the pointer because this scroll is completely handwritten. And the ink that they use is very special ink, and it will smudge if I keep touching it. But it also makes it very special to be able to read it like this. Now this is this is quite hard to read because there are no vowels in the Torah. The Torah has letters but no vowels. Now you might say, how can you read without vowels? In English, the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. And in Hebrew is similar vowels. So how can you read English without vowels? Well, you can. If I had the letters B and D and put a vowel in the middle, you could make the words bed, bid, bud, bod, all kinds of words. But how would you know which one it was? But if I said, I'm very tired, I want to go to, the word would be bed. So you understand from the context of the sentence how that works. And that's exactly how Hebrew works. So people read Hebrew easily when they're used to reading it and they understand the language. If you go to Israel, all the street signs are there without vowels because most people read without vowels anyway. But in the Torah, we're without vowels, and I can read actually this verse 9, which says, Yosef ben shloshim shana, and that means Joseph was 30 years old. So you can see I've opened it at a story about Joseph. So that's what our Torah scroll looks like. Now, when a boy or a girl is 13, they are taught to read from the Torah. They have to learn Hebrew and learn to read Hebrew because it's different letters to English. And then they have to learn to read it without the vowels. So they take quite a while to learn how to read from the Torah scroll. A bar mitzvah is, or a bat mitzvah for a girl, bar mitzvah for a boy, bat mitzvah for a girl, is when the boy or girl is 13 and reads from the scroll in front of the community. It's a special occasion. They have to read in front of the community on a Shabbat morning, which is our Sabbath, and they come up and they read from the scroll. So that's a very special occasion. And just very quickly, a little bit about Shabbat. Shabbat is our day of rest. It begins on Friday night and goes through to Saturday night. And it's a day when we don't do any work, because it says in the Torah you shall not work on Shabbat. You should have a day of rest. And we start on Friday night because The way we tell the time is we don't start one day at midnight, which is when we normally would. One day to the next is midnight to midnight. In Judaism, because people didn't have clocks to tell the time, they went from sunset to sunset. So sunset on a Friday night to sunset on Saturday is Shabbat. And Shabbat is our special day. And it's a day when we come to the synagogue to pray. Now, I've told you a little bit about the synagogue, a little bit about our Torah scrolls, which is the most important thing for us. And I hope you've enjoyed this. So thank you and goodbye.